Hi guys, welcome back, and I'm sorry for the angle, but I also could not be bothered to get my tripod right out, so my camera's just sitting on my makeup mirror for the moment. This video is basically just going to be a update on where I've been, why I haven't been uploading, and things like that. So if you guys are interested, then just keep watching. So everything has started basically since I did my last tea talk. I was going to do a tea talk for this, but I couldn't like set it out like that. I just didn't want to, so this is just going to be an update. But basically since my last tea talk, like it's not my mental health, it's just my exhaustion has been at its all-time high. No matter how much I slept, I was still so tired, and it was more like I'm mentally tired rather than physically. And like sitting right here right now, I feel like I could get up, like physically, even partially mentally, I feel like I could get up and fully clean my room because I have to, but at the same time I just want to sit here and do nothing all day. So that's why I haven't really been consistent in my uploads. I will edit like 3 or 4 videos in one day and have them saved, like ready to upload, but then I won't upload one for like a week because I just can't even be like mentally prepared to press the upload button. It's so weird. Like I'll suddenly be like getting ready to go to bed, it'll be like 10:30 at night, and then I'll be like, oh, forgot to upload my video today, and by that time I'm not going to click upload. I'm not going to upload it at like 11:30 at night because sometimes they take like an hour to upload now. Our downstairs neighbours also use our Wi-Fi, plus my brother plays online games. So my videos no longer take 5 minutes to upload, it takes like an hour. So that is why my uploads have been very inconsistent. About, I want to say a month ago, I made a decision that I would rather go quality over quantity. So now when I film on my filming weekends, or even like now it's Thursday, my mum's actually not here, I would rather film a good quality video than try and sit down and film 6 or 7 videos in one day. So that is also why I may skip uploads as well. I try to upload every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. I know I can do it because I did it for like 6 months, but now like it's the mental problem, and with it coming up with Christmas as well, my mum also doesn't like my brother and I touching our computers or doing anything like that, so it's also a bit harder. But that's why my uploads have been so inconsistent. Another thing is I am going to be taking a bit of a break. I'm going to upload this video, and I will try to upload my Christmas makeup look because I actually really like that. If I can find the file, because I actually can't find it at the moment. But other than that, I think I'm going to wipe all my videos off, delete the rest of them, and start again after the new year. The reason why I'm having a bit of a break is because last Tuesday, on the 4th of December, we actually lost Tinkerbelle, our little cat. So she's not going to be in my videos anymore. Told myself I couldn't cry. I haven't cried over this in like a week, so I don't know why I'm suddenly upset now. I think it's the first time I've said it out loud. But she's not going to be in my videos anymore. That morning I got up like normal, and I tried to film a video on a review of the L'Oreal face mask I've been trying, a new one, because basically that's the only thing I had to put in my November favourites. So instead of doing a full favourites, I was just going to do a review on that. And I filmed the video 3 times and I couldn't get it right. Like it just seemed like I was so all over the place, and something in me just didn't feel like the day was going to turn out to be a good day. But my mum was out with a friend, and then when we came home, my mum realised Tinkerbelle, she'd gone outside once she'd had her breakfast, and my mum realised she was still asleep in the exact same spot. And then we tried to give her some food. She wouldn't eat her food. We tried to give her some water. She wouldn't drink, because normally she's been drinking quite a bit. We had to take her to the vet in like the beginning of October because she was having digestion issues. She was literally going to the toilet like 4 times a day, like pooping all the time, and she like wasn't pooping in a litter box or anything. It was like wherever she was, it just suddenly came out, and she was like pooping all through the bathroom. That's a different story in itself, but we called the vet and they basically told us, look, bring her down. Like, because it is concerning, she's not eating. They could see on her file she'd had the other problems before and things like that. So we thought, well, they said now it's time to do the blood work and things like that, because the vet said it could be her thyroid that was an issue, because she had before, when we took her in October, she had lost about, I want to say 500, 600 grams, and she was only just over 3 kilos to begin with, so that is quite a lot for such a little cat. Anyway, they did the blood work and everything. They took her out the back. We didn't even see that. And they do it on site. The vet we take our animals to is literally just down the road. And they have everything on site. So they have all their ORs on site. They have all of their labs. Everything's on site. So they said they could call us back within an hour and a half, 2 hours. And basically when we got the call back, my mum answered the phone because they had her number. Basically, Tinkerbelle, they're not sure what came first, but basically her body wasn't producing, I think it was her red blood cells. So she was severely anemic, which is why she was sleeping all day. She wasn't running around and things like that, and she didn't have the energy to eat. And also she had some type of bowel cancer. Now, without doing a biopsy and things like that, they couldn't tell us what type of cancer it was, but through the blood work they could tell that it was cancerous. And her other, my mum's talked to the vet on the phone, not me, so I'm only getting what she could remember. But there was other levels in her blood that they indicated it was bowel cancer. So basically the tumour, we couldn't even afford to get the ultrasound done, but basically the tumour was closing her bowel, so her digested food was getting stuck, and that's why she was getting constipated. And then all of a sudden it would back up, and the point where it would just explode. Like, we'd wake up of a morning and she'd have poop all down her back and her butt and everything, all down her back legs, because it would just explode out. So basically they said we could do surgery. That would be about $7,000, and on top of it she would also need treatments for the anemia. So she'd need blood transfusions, iron transfusions and things like that, and then it also counts pain medicine and other things, antibiotics we'd need to bring her home with and stuff like that. So we could do that. We could keep her comfortable until she went on her own, but she was going to suffer, or we could put her down. And so that call was at about midday, I want to say, and we sat around for about an hour, and we decided the best thing was to put her down. Hang on, my eyebrows itchy. And we assumed it was going to take us, because we've never had to actually get a animal put down. They've all just gone on their own. So we didn't know if we had to get an appointment or if we could just take her in or what. But basically we'd brought her back home, and we have a little chair that's in the corner of our lounge room, and she basically went back to sleep on there and never really woke up. But we got an appointment that day for 2 o'clock. So by the time we'd made the decision and called the vet, we only had an hour left with her. And it destroyed me. I still don't think that, like, I don't want to say, oh, I don't think I'll ever get over it, because that's a bit too much, but it's like I literally haven't felt the same since. And I went with my mum to take her down. Our vet's only like 500 meters down the road, if that. And they took us in, and so yeah, the appointment was at 2 o'clock, and they were running a little bit late because one of the puppies the vet was looking after had like got out and run around, and they were trying to catch him. But basically, yeah, they gave her the injection and put her to sleep, and I watched it, and I shouldn't have, because I just kept, for the first few days, I just kept playing it over and over in my head, like watching her lay down. They just had the one injection that had about that much fluid in it, and when I think they were about halfway through when Tinkerbelle realised she was dying, because she looked at me as if to say, please make it stop, please help me. And that's what broke my heart, that look on her face. For some reason they had to shave her paw. When they took blood work, which obviously comes from the vein, I don't know what the injection site was, we weren't actually there. They took her out the back when they took her blood test, but they didn't shave her at all. I imagine they took her from the back of the neck or something, but when they were giving her this injection they had to shave her paw, so that was a little bit weird. So obviously they know, but I mean, I would assume that when they took blood they would have had to shave her as well, but it might have been a different site. But yeah, they were about halfway through the injection, and I think she realised she was dying because I could see her chest, like, she was breathing a bit heavier because she was scared, because neither my mum or I wanted to hold her while they did it. So the vet assistant or whatever it was came in and helped, and I think she realised then she was dying, and they laid her down. We kept a towel in the bottom of her pet carrier. We always do, no matter what pet we had, and they wrapped her up in it and we buried her in that night. She's over the road. We live on a private lane, and over the road is just this giant patch of dirt where other people can park their cars and things, but there's a log that no one can move because it's still attached to the tree base, and basically we buried her where the log is because we know no cars will disturb it and things like that. So that's where we've kept her. But I would say that's the hardest thing I've ever gone through, and it's the worst thing I've ever done. Each day gets better. I didn't think talking about it now I'd be quite the mess that I am. I thought I was okay, and that's why I sat down to do it now. It's another reason why I wanted to do it now when my mum wasn't home, was so if I did cry she didn't see it. Yeah, so when we got the blood work done and everything, we were just expecting them to say like, oh, she's a bit dehydrated, or you need to give her like extra protein, for example, or something like that. The first time when we took her to the vet in October, we were told to feed her just plain boiled chicken, cut it up really small. So we did that, and she still didn't improve. And between October and the 2 months, she'd lost another 400 grams. So overall she'd lost nearly a kilo, and for a 3 kilo cat that's like a lot. That was a third of her weight. And basically they told us that her anemia was so bad that one day she would just go to sleep and stay asleep. In the end they said her body would probably give out more from being malnourished from not eating due to being comatose. Otherwise her body would just like stay comatose basically. So they said in the end we probably would have had to have put her down anyway, because her heart just probably would have just kept kept beating, and she would have remained comatose, but until then she would have suffered and been in pain, because like I could see her, we put her in the bathroom of a night time to sleep, and like I'd go to the bathroom, use the toilet before I went to bed, and I'd put her in the bathroom at the same time. And so every time I sat down on the toilet, she'd use her litter box, and I could see, like, I think it was the night before, she was like really, really, really struggling to get her poop out. And I know this is a bit TMI, but she was really struggling to get it out, and that's because the tumour was in the way. She couldn't get it out. But they said we could have done an ultrasound, seen where the tumour was, how big it was, even if like there was something there. But in the end, it probably wouldn't have made much of a difference. Even if we had done surgery, that because she was 11, there was still a chance she wouldn't have survived the surgery anyway. Because she'd lost so much weight, there was still a chance she wouldn't have survived being put under anaesthetic. And even then, not because of her age, but just because of what it was, there was still a chance that the surgery wouldn't have worked anyway, and she would still have the issues that she had. They're not sure if the anemia came first and that lowered her immune system and her body and her cancer started, or if her cancer had started and then the anemia came because of it. They're not entirely sure. But we think she hasn't been well since about, we want to say August, September. She used to lay flat on her back, paws in the air and everything, and she hasn't done that for a few months. She started to, the first thing that we really noticed was her not using her litter box properly. She would poop normally, but she wouldn't do it in the litter box, and then it got to the point where her poop was more and more abnormal. And like the night before all of this happened, she used a litter box and I cleaned it out, and I noticed that like her food hadn't even digested at all. The chicken pieces and her biscuits were still like whole, because she was such a bugger, she wouldn't actually chew her food. Her biscuits and that was still whole, so that was concerning to the vet as well. But the vet was so nice. I could listen to his voice all day, honestly. If he created a podcast or audiobook or something, I would listen to it all day. He has the most calming voice. But yeah, Tinkerbelle's gone. On the Wednesday, I was supposed to go to my TAFE graduation, and I didn't because obvious reasons. I didn't feel up to it, so I emailed my teachers and let them know I wasn't going to be there. So I didn't go to my graduation. I still graduate and get my certificate and everything. It's not mandatory. It's not one of those ones where if you don't turn up, you don't graduate. Like, I still had finished all my work and everything, so that didn't matter. What else? I bought Christmas presents for everyone. I actually went and bought a goldfish on Saturday. I was just feeling so like alone, because Tinkerbelle was 11, and so when we got Tinkerbelle we got another cat called Dusty, and he died about 18 months later. He was hit by a car. Pardon me. But Tinkerbelle, we've had her for 11 years, and so, or nearly 11 years. We got her on the 23rd of December. But like 11 years is a heck of a long time, and so like we hadn't had a pet for 11 years. Let me start again. We've had a pet for 11 years, and all of a sudden we had no one or nothing, and it was really hard to adjust to, pardon me, not having her coming over for cuddles, not having her wake me up, because even if my mum opened my door, sometimes I still wouldn't wake up till Tinkerbelle jumped on me. Like, I found first thing of a morning and like last thing of a night were the hardest. In the very middle of the day I was okay because I have things to do. or even chores, housework. Like I had things to do, but like no one vacuumed their room at 11 o'clock at night. So it was like, that was pretty hard. I thought about editing my videos and things like that I have saved just to give me something to do, but I couldn't. I felt like editing and uploading a video like there was nothing wrong was like, trying to find the word. It was like damaging her memory. It was, I can't think of the word. Like it just wasn't right. So that's why I've waited until I'm doing this video. But I think I mentioned on Saturday I bought 2 goldfish. I've actually got the little tank on my bedside table, not my bedside table, my desk here. I bought 2 of those little black moor goldfish. They're the black ones with the real funny boggle eyes. One of them actually died on Saturday. I was speaking with a aquarium specialist, and he reckons the fish itself was bloated, because the other one I've got is totally fine. He's swimming around like crazy, having fun. So I bought 2 of them because they said it's good to buy at least 2 of them, the black moor ones, because they tend to get really lonely. That's why I bought 2, and the other one died. So next week I'm going to go out and buy another 1 or 2 of them, because they can actually die from loneliness, apparently. That's what I was told. But he's just swimming around in the tank at the moment, having fun. I'm thinking of getting our bigger tank and buying like a heap of them, but I got 1 at the moment. I had 2, but I got 1. He's still going. He's having a lovely time. And then on Tuesday this week, so today is now Thursday, so on Tuesday, as like a to feel better type of thing, my mum, my brother and I were looking on like the RSPCA website, Hunter Animal Rescue, and Gumtree. Gumtree's like, I think it's Australian only. It's sort of like eBay, but you can sell things from like home. So like if I wanted to sell my phone, I could put it on Gumtree and I could sell it there. But we were looking on there for kittens and other cats, because they all come in the category of kittens and cats, so you can't separate them. Just to try and like feel better, just to get a little feel out there, see what animals are out there, what cats are out there, things like that. Ones we may be able to purchase in advance and wait till they're old enough to come home, because I told my mum, I was like, I want 2, because then they can look after each other. They can play with each other, because Tinkerbelle had Dusty for the first like 18 months of her life. They weren't genetically brother and sister, but they were put in the same cage at the RSPCA, which is like an animal rescue thing. Don't know if the rest of the world has it. And I said, well, we need 2 of them, then they can look after each other. Like all the science says, get 2 of them. And I said, we need 2. And I said, it also is like, 2 of them might help us a bit more. And so we were looking to see what ones there were and things like that, but we just couldn't afford kittens, because Hunter Animal Rescue, they're 200, RSPCA, they're 200, 250 if they're not desexed yet, because they will desex them and then give them back to us. And we just couldn't afford it. And then we were looking on the Hunter Animal Rescue, is like, that is where you advertise, like if you're a foster parent, whatever, that's where you advertise your animals. So it's like these are going to people's houses to get them, whereas the RSPCA is like you go to the store to get them. Hunter Animal Rescue, they have to ask you all these other questions because they are fostered. They're not just you go there, buy a cat, come home. And we found this cat called Shadow, who it said on there it was 4, but she was 4, but she's actually only 2. And my brother and I just kept looking at her like at the ad all morning, and then she was actually at a pet store which is very close to us, so we actually went out there and had a look, and she was gorgeous, but we just had a very fleeting look. My mum still wasn't really like keen on us getting one. My brother and I are going on holidays with our dad in January, and she wanted us to wait till after then to get a cat. But all day my brother and I kept thinking about her. We kept looking at our bank accounts to see what we can chop and change to get this cat, because she was technically an adult. She was only 150. And so yeah, we went out there. Actually, we went to the pet shop 3 times, because the first time we went out there just to look at the cat. The second time we went out there because my brother wanted to buy an axolotl, but he's not now, because we figured that, because we found out they can grow up to 45 centimeters and that's too big for what we want. But he went out there to get information on that, and I wanted to check out about my goldfish because one of them had suddenly died. He was so active when I brought him home, and then he suddenly died. And I wanted to get our water professionally tested, in case there was something really wrong, because I only have a pH testing kit. I don't have something to test the rest of them. But yeah, so we did that, and then we came home and my brother just kept like talking about the cat, and like we just couldn't stop thinking about her. And in the end we went and got her. So we actually have Shadow with us now. She's in my brother's room actually, having a nap under his bed. So I can't bring her in here to show you because no one can actually fit under my brother's bed. It's very low to the ground. So I can't bring her in here to show you at the moment, but I will show you a photo of her. There is a photo on my Instagram, so the link is down below if you want to go see that. But that is Shadow. That photo's of her sitting on my bed. So we went and got her. My brother and I split the money, and we went and adopted her because both my brother and I couldn't, like, I don't want to say we couldn't live without having a cat, but we've had one for 11 years and now all of a sudden we didn't, and it was like, oh my god, I can't do this. And my mum kind of didn't want us, I don't want to say she didn't want us to get her, but she was still a bit concerned in case it was like she's just a rebound purchase, like you're still grieving over Tinkerbelle, you're going to want her to replace Tinkerbelle. But we knew she was different, like she's a different cat altogether, she's a different pattern and everything. But yeah, we went and got Shadow, so we have her now. We've had her for 3 days and she's the most gentle sook, like she's just absolutely gorgeous. But she's in my brother's room having a nap at the moment. But yeah, she's only 2 and that's okay because she's only 2, so we still have a long while left with her. That's why we wanted to buy, we weren't against adopting adult cats, an adult one, but we wanted a kitten, something that's like, you know, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, something like that, because it's like we can raise them from a kitten stage, so they'll still be really cute and fluffy, but then we know we're going to have them for a long time. Like Tinkerbelle was 11, but my mum and dad had a cat. They had him when I was born, but he was like 7 by the time I was born. Pardon me. They bought him when they were first married, and he lived till he was 17. The only reason why he actually died was because he was hit by a car. He was starting to slow down a bit, but he would have lasted at least another year or 2. I was only 7 or 8 when he died. 7, I think I was. So he lived till he was 17. And like he would have lasted till he was at least 18 to 20 if he hadn't been hit by the car, because they did tests on him all the time. But he was hit by a car. So I mean, we saw, I don't want to say we assumed Tinkerbelle would live that long, because not all cats live that long, duh. But I think we thought, well, we got one to live till 17. I assumed Tinkerbelle would live till at least 15, 14. We didn't think her problem was as bad as what it was. They said she probably wouldn't have lasted till Christmas. We probably would have had to have taken her Christmas Eve, Boxing Day, something like that, to be put down anyway, because she would have just been in too much pain and she basically would have been comatose by then. So we made the decision that day And I think some people think, oh, you rushed it, like you only talked about it for an hour, but like initially they told us she wasn't suffering at all, and then once she was actually like put down, the vet told us that she probably wouldn't have been suffering at the moment, but like by now, so like by today, a week later, something like that, she probably would have started to suffer in terms of pain. She might have started having like bowel spasms, muscle spasms, plus there's just the normal parts that come along with having cancer, so nausea, general pain, things like that. And because she's a cat, she can't tell us I'm in pain. And because her anemia was so bad, she basically would have just laid there half asleep and in horrendous pain. Plus she wouldn't have been eating because her food was going to get stuck. She might have even had her bowel like perforate or something if her food could not pass through where the tumor was, because her food would have just backed up. But we'd assume she might have just needed a softer diet, different like specialty food type of. We weren't expecting it to be this bad, but it was, unfortunately. And we talked about waiting a couple of days, but we couldn't. Pardon me, I do sort of have the hiccups, I'm sorry. But we couldn't. We knew if we didn't do it that day, we weren't going to do it at all. And like the thing I struggle with the most is like, how do I put it without offending someone? We chose when she should die. Like, I'm sorry if anyone gets offended by that, but that's the only way I can word it, is like, well, we chose when she should die. I've never had to get an animal put down. All of my other pets, so we had Einstein, which is the cat my parents bought when they were first married. Then we got another kitten called Tigger about a year later, and then he only lasted 6 months because another person in our street ran him over. We actually know who it was that did that one. And then we got Tinkerbelle and Dusty, and 18 months later Dusty was run over as well. And so basically my entire life I've gone maybe 9 months without having a cat. Now in the between that we've had goldfish and other things, birds, but we always had a cat. And so that's why Kurt and I just, it wasn't, oh, we have to buy a cat and Shadow's the only one available. It was like, I just felt like I had to have her. Like, she was ours. And it just, they say the cat, that like cats choose their owner, and I know she chose us. Like the first night we had her, because we went and got her at about 3:30 in the afternoon. The first night we had her, she'd already was like rolling around on my bed, snuggling down on my bed, giving me kisses and things like that. So she basically settled right in. They said she was a very easygoing cat anyway. She wasn't there because she was abused. Her owner was a very old lady and had to go into a nursing home, and her son couldn't look after her because he had dogs and she's not good with dogs. So he gave her to the Hunter Animal Rescue, and they were going to foster her till they could find her a home. And she'd only been with the pet shop for about a week. Hunter Animal Rescue will put some pets in, some cats in particular, in pet shops around, so you can go and see them rather than just having everything listed online and have them as foster care, as like in foster care, because some people won't actually allow the prospective buyers to come into their home. They meet them in a different place, which I totally understand. So yeah, but we were lucky we could go and actually see Shadow. There was this other really little kitten that I honestly wish we'd got as well, but we couldn't afford her. My brother and I are basically full on broke now because we bought her, but at the same time I don't regret it. But at another time, we've had her for 3 days and I still feel so like empty from Tinkerbelle that I'm almost finding it hard to fall in love with Shadow. Like, I love her deeply already, I can feel it, but like at the same time I feel nothing, and it's really scaring me because I've been struggling a lot mentally for the past like year, and I don't, like, obviously it's too soon for anyone to be able to tell me, but I am worried that like what happened with Tinkerbelle has like pushed me over the edge, and that's like done something. I don't know how to describe it, but pushed me to depression or something. But I will show you Shadow when I can. She spends sometimes an hour or so under one of our beds having a nap, because my grandmother likes to get up and walk through the whole house to try and find her. But afterwards I'll try and get some footage of her when she's running around, but she is so playful, she is so cute. She was literally like running through the house this morning. It's so cute. She's just settled down at the moment because she's still only 2, and I think basically until a kitten's about 2.5, 3, they're still kittens in a way, and they still need naps and things like that. So yeah, I did have my goldfish tank on my bedside table, which is actually like, pardon me, next to my tall boy. I'll try and move my camera over. I had it there, but I've actually had to move the tank onto my desk here because Shadow really likes to sit there and pat the tank. She had come in my room for like 20 minutes and already found the goldfish, so I think it's more of the fact he's moving, or like he moves around, rather than it's like, oh, fish. So I've got it on my desk because she's not allowed on my desk, and it's like I can keep an eye on him better here. I do spend most of my time either sitting on my bed, on the lounge, or at my desk, and it's kind of hard for me continuously get up over there, and also because my back's to it, so I can't keep an eye on it all the time. So yeah, the tank's got a lid and everything, but I still don't want her to knock it over. So I've got the tank on my desk now, so I can just pat her little paws down so she doesn't get to it. She's not as bad as what Tinkerbelle would be though. Every time we got goldfish, like, I had to have it on my desk because Tinkerbelle was so bad. My dad's never actually had goldfish around Lucy, although I want to test it because she doesn't eat seafood like at all, Lucy. So I wanted to see if she would play with a goldfish. She probably would. But I'm just rambling now. I'm not even going to edit this video because it's probably going to be too hard for me to edit through some of it, but that is what's been happening. The biggest thing is we lost Tinkerbelle, and I think I mentioned earlier, the hardest part that I have to deal with, I don't know about anyone else, is that like we chose to let her die, and it's like, I know it was the right thing, I know it was the best thing because it stopped her from suffering, it stopped her from being in pain and blah 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 blah. I know, and I can come to terms with that, and I feel like we did the right thing, but we still chose when she should die, and I don't feel like that was the right thing. But it was the right thing. But yeah, she before she started to stiffen and everything, my mum put her in a little box, and like an animal, any animal apart from a human, even when they're put under anesthetic, their eyes remain open. They don't actually close their eyes. So on a human, when we die, they can close our eyes, but on an animal they can't. So just so she didn't look like she was staring into space, my mum made her look like she was asleep, like she would be on our bed, so like curled up in a ball with her head upside down. She put her paws under her chin, and we put her in a nice box, and that's where she is now. I feel like I literally like burned myself out in the first like 3 days, because all of a sudden last Friday, like, I couldn't cry at all. Even if I tried to, I couldn't. And it was like I've emptied myself completely. Like, I just felt nothing last Friday. Like, I reckon something could have happened to one of us and I wouldn't have been upset at all. But all of a sudden now, this is also the first time I'm like talking about it out loud. Pardon me. I've spoken with friends about it, but it's only been like texting and things like that, not actually out loud. And sometimes, like, when you say things out loud, it's a little bit harder. And that's what this is. I honestly earlier thought, like, I haven't cried in over a week. I haven't cried in a week. It's like been great, but obviously I was still very raw. It'll probably take me months to get over this, really, because it was, in a way, it was very sudden. And Tinkerbelle was my life completely, because like she was my baby. And to suddenly go from having cuddles every day, even just her yelling at me for something to eat, like just having her around, even her just being asleep on the lounge or something, she was still there. And now it's like she's not, and it was our choice, but it was the right thing. It was, as my mum said, it was the only thing. And yeah, so this video has been long enough already. I don't think I really have anything else to mention. If not, I'll put it in the description box, so please go and look at that. But yeah, thank you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.